Director Yoon gripped Han from behind, his resolute voice declaring that if fate threatened Han's life, it would be by his own hands and never by those of a stranger. A dimly lit hallway set the stage as Director Yoon, his dark coat casting long shadows, faced Han with a smug grin. Han asked Director Yoon to step inside as tension crackled between them. As the strained silence lingered in the hallway, Han extended a folded towel toward Director Yoon's gloved hand, his concerned expression underscoring the gesture as he quietly offered him a bit of comfort. The quiet office bathed in pale morning light, Director Yoon regarded the weary Han with concern as he gently suggested that Han take a moment to wash up, noticing how unwell he looked while he wiped his face with a towel. On an ordinary afternoon tinged with tension, Han stood in the doorway, his eyes wide as he voiced his confusion about not wanting Director Yoon to left alone. Inside a modest office lined with binders and the steady whir of a ceiling fan, Director Yoon casually suggested that he join Han for a bath, prompting Han to hurriedly refuse and insist on showering alone, the awkwardness lingering in the air. In the stark light of a tiled room, Han lingered uneasily behind the door, quietly admitting to feeling a chill as the resolve to freshen up and send his unwelcome guest away began to harden. In a cluttered, dimly lit office heavy with suspense, Director Yoon sat tensely on a worn couch, clutching a phone to his ear as high-up worried voice demanded to know who he was, why he had answered, and what had happened to the Han. In the stark glow of his office, Director Yoon held a phone to his face, his smug smirk hinting as he confidently challenged what high-up might do if he crossed the line. Director Yoon sat calmly in his chair, his demeanor steady as high-up demanded for the Han's whereabouts. Director Yoon explained Han was currently showering nearby. High-up then asked in return where the other person was, tension simmering beneath the exchange. Loud noise gets Director Yoon's attention, as he tells High-up he does not know. As the knock echoed away, Han straightened with newfound resolve and, gripping the telephone tightly, announced that they were hanging up. High-up demanded Director Yoon to answer him. Through the narrow doorway, Director Yoon's worried gaze fell on Han Ishin as he gently asked what was wrong. His question hanging in the air, Han winced on the cold bathroom floor and admitted in a strained voice that he was in pain. Han demanded in a trembling voice to know why Director Yoon was entering. Director Yoon's sharp gaze flickered with concern as he voiced his urgent need to determine whether the landlord was dead or alive. In a brightly lit bathroom, Han, flustered and vulnerable, clutched a towel to himself as he tried to explain with embarrassment that he had simply slipped. Director Yoon stood tall and assertive, commanding Han, who remained kneeling and startled before him, to move aside. Director Yoon calmly took off his black gloves, his purposeful movements filling Han with incredulous suspicion as he wondered in disbelief if the man truly intended to help him wash up. Han sat shirtless and anxious, urgently insisting to Director Yoon that he could manage on his own. Director Yoon raised his gloved hand to his lips, a smug confidence in his eyes as he warned that Yun Hyup was already on his way. In the stark light of a tiled room, Han stood nervously clutching a towel around his waist, his cheeks flushing. Director Yoon stammered that if they didn't hurry, Hyup might get the wrong idea about the two of them. Han demanded to know what would happen next, casting an air of uncertainty over the moment. Steam curled through the brightly lit shower room as Director Yoon, his demeanor composed and serious, methodically sprayed water across Han's silent, vulnerable head, filling the space with an unspoken tension. Director Yoon leaned forward with a calm yet concerned gaze, gently questioning why there was so much restless movement from Han in such already cramped quarters. Rain pooled around two pairs of bare feet pressed close together on the slick floor, as Director Yoon, voice edged with worry, cautioned Han to stay still, insisting he would only slip again if he moved. Han's uneasy profile revealed their inner struggle as they wondered what Director Yoon intended, feeling the awkwardness swell until it seemed almost unbearable. Han stood shirtless and tense, anxiously struggling against Director Yoon's unyielding grip as he wrestled with the thought that every direction he turned led only to obstacles. Steam curled through the air as Han, shirtless and visibly self-conscious, sat awkwardly while Director Yoon stood quietly behind him, prompting Han to wonder why receiving help washing up left him acting so tense and making the atmosphere feel even stranger. In a dense shroud of mist, Han stood shirtless and startled as Director Yoon, eyes steely with determination, seized him forcefully from behind and instructed him in a firm voice not to move. In a stark, fluorescent-lit room, Han winced in agony as Director Yoon pressed a steaming hand against his bare skin, his startled outcry betraying both shock and confusion at the sharp pain coursing through him. In a tense, close-up moment, Han's uneasy voice broke the silence as they revealed they could feel the grip on their arm was painfully tight. In a dimly lit room heavy with tension, a startled and vulnerable Han stood shirtless as Director Yoon stated that Han was now the one gripping him tight. Steam curled through the intimate room as Han, blushing and shirtless, nervously insisted he had only been joking while Director Yoon closed the distance between them with calm, quiet determination. In a dimly lit room, Han recoiled in shock as a gentle hand pressed against his bare chest, exposing a burn scar that instantly unsettled him. Han stated that the burn that Director Yoon has must have been from back then. In the quiet hush of a dimly lit room, Han and Director Yoon stood entwined in a moment of fragile intimacy, vulnerability shimmering between them as Director Yoon hesitated, struggling to voice the turmoil in his heart. Then, gripping Han's bare shoulder with a force that mirrored the tension in the air, Director Yoon confessed in a low, strained voice that every thought of Han left him feeling suffocated, as if trapped in the coils of an unseen serpent. Han calmly remarked that Director Yoon must truly dislike him. Han silently states if he had been present at the immortal gathering, he likely witnessed him there. Amidst a dark, swirling backdrop, Director Yoon stood behind Director Han, wrestling with the realization that what churned within them was not merely pain or hatred, but something far more complex. Steam curled around glossy tiles as Han, hair damp and features softened by a faint smile, calmly suggested that perhaps it was time to consider seeing a therapist. Director Yoon insisted to himself that he didn't need therapy. Vulnerable and tentative, glanced toward Director Yoon and wondered aloud if it might be wise to learn how to treat the mysterious condition. Director Yoon asserted with quiet confidence that he already understood exactly what to do. Steam curled around the quiet bathroom as Han, wrapped in a towel, met the calm silence with a knowing glance, acknowledging that the other person was already aware. Director Yoon's enigmatic expression emerged against a dark, tangled purple backdrop as he calmly challenged Han, asking if he wasn't just a little curious. In the shadowy glow of tangled purple strands, Han's subtle smile betrayed a spark of curiosity as they wondered aloud whether, given his current state, there might still be hope for treatment. Han's face turns into shock as Director Yoon say him. In a quiet room tinged with curiosity, Han, shirtless and casual, looked up with a puzzled expression, questioning Director Yoon as he asked for clarification. Director Yoon repeats to Han that he's the only thing he needs. Director Yoon confronted Han with a defiant declaration that it made no difference whether they were a monster who devoured human flesh or a deceitful piece of trash. Director Yoon gently cradled Han's chin, his eyes shining with vulnerability as he confessed that Han was both his torment and his solace, admitting he needed them more than anything. Han turns away in embarrassment saying that's weird. In the shadows, Director Yoon's face emerged in close-up, his calm confidence underscored by an intense devotion as he revealed that his unwavering loyalty stemmed from seeing the other person as his god. Director Yoon pressed a sorrowful kiss to Han's hand, voice trembling as she confessed that he had cast him into the depths of hell. In the quiet intimacy of a close-up, Director Yoon pressed his hands together in a solemn gesture, his eyes filled with reverence as he confessed that, having been saved, he could only see the other as his god. Inside a dim room heavy with tension, Han stood exposed and anxious, a towel draped over his head, as Director Yoon confronted him with a piercing question that left Han at a loss for words. On a cold, tiled floor, two figures stood barefoot and motionless, the crackling tension between Han and Director Yoon revealing Han's uneasy suspicion that animosity alone could not explain the charged silence hanging between them.